You know what your problem is?
I ain't got no problem, man. Don't tell me. Don't tell me my problem is.
For years, fans had watched Scrappy's turbulent journey unfold on screen, including his ups and downs with his family relationships and career. However, nothing could have prepared the world for the day when Scrappy's actions would lead to his fall from grace. It all began with a particularly heated argument with Chaos, a fellow cast member who had never been shy about speaking his mind and was known for his brash attitude and willingness to stir up trouble. Scrappy had always been a mainstay of love and hip-hop Atlanta, known for his fiery temper and loyalty to the people in his circle. Were insulted, and what began as a dispute quickly turned into a full-fledged altercation. The producers and crew who had been present during the scene were shocked that this wasn't just another heated argument, but that this was a man who had crossed a line behind the cameras. Scrappy, who had always been known for having a short fuse, was at his breaking point as the tension increased. The two men exchanged sharp words, but it was Scrappy's threats that would ultimately seal his fate in a moment of anger. He threatened Chaos in a way that went beyond mere words. His tone was menacing, and the words themselves left little room for interpretation. There was no tolerance in the love and hip-hop franchise. Reality television has always functioned under the pretense of chaos and drama when it came to threats and violence, but there were boundaries. It didn't take long for the authorities to decide that Scrappy's outburst had gone beyond those bounds. One of the most recognizable characters on the show, Scrappy, lost his job. Swift made the decision after carefully weighing the potential effects on the show's reputation, as well as the safety of the cast and crew. For Scrappy, it was a devastating blow because he had been a part of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta from the start, and the show had been crucial to his career because of the platform it provided. A chance to showcase his music life and complex connections with his family. But now that the news had surfaced, all of that was in jeopardy due to a moment of weakness. Fans were devastated, with some being incensed at Scrappy for getting angry and starting arguments. In the days that followed, Scrappy's firing served as a reminder of the price of his rage and his incapacity to control it in a moment of passion, while others expressed disappointment at how swiftly the show had taken action. This was a reflection of the fine line reality stars frequently walk between entertainment and personal consequences. Scrappy stayed silent and took some time to consider what he had done. His public persona had always remained unaffected by the fallout, continuing to appear on the show despite the tension between him and Scrappy. The show would continue without Scrappy, but for the first time in a long time, the focus was no longer on him. The lesson was difficult but necessary, and the anger that had once protected him now stood in the way of his success. He had been a man of confidence and bravado, but behind the scenes, the reality of what had happened started to set in. His removal from Love and Hip Hop I
probably went too hard or something, took something the wrong way or something like that, you know? So I want to say, I'm sorry to Khaotic. We're getting somewhere. We're not. Because I can give a Because let me tell you something. When a go with me and he feel like I'm not a good person, I feel the same way he is. So we on the same page.
No, but he does not feel that.
He just said it. He said, hey, if you feel like I'm not a good person in your life, then you need to stay like that. And don't stand on that. And we don't stand on it.
No.
Let's stand on it.
No.
We don't stand on it.
No, he said not. He did not say that.
What I said was, if you feel like I'm a bad person to you, then
Okay, this is not about that right now. This is about you. How do you feel about him?
I never said I had a problem with him.
No, this what he do. He say something crazy and he's like, oh, I ain't got no beef. I ain't got no dog. Khaotic always trying to play a victim. He'll start then he want to be like, I don't want no beef, man. If you got an issue, stand on it. If not, sit down and shut the fuck up, bro.
At the end of the day, like I said, bro, it don't even really matter.
Cuz gonna try to goddamn, he want everybody to
like, oh my God.
No, because we're so grown, we're only making assessment of our own thoughts here.
I be watching Cuz, I be like, oh.
Okay, so wait.
You know what your problem is?
I ain't got no problem. I'll beat your ass.
You had a million times to do it.
Scrappy's career and family relationships had their ups and downs, but nothing could have predicted the day when his own behavior would cause him to fall from grace. It all began with a particularly heated argument with a Khaotic cast member who was known for his brash attitude and willingness to stir things up. He got into a fight with Scrappy over a minor issue that quickly got out of hand. Words were exchanged, insults were thrown, and the argument quickly turned into a full-fledged altercation. Scrappy, who was always prone to losing his temper, was at his breaking point as the tension increased. The two men exchanged abrasive words, but Scrappy's threats were what? The producers and crew who had been present during the scene were shocked that this wasn't just another heated argument, but that a man had crossed the line. He threatened chaos in a way that went beyond simple words, and his tone was menacing. The words themselves left little room for interpretation. This would ultimately seal his fate in a moment of rage.
Whole time, he the one who called me out my name, disrespecting me, talking gangster. I never talked gangster. I never threatened you. I don't play no victim. I just don't do all that fake gangster talking and all that. You can't let me talk gangster. First of all, if I say anything sick or say anything crazy out my mouth.
Things moved swiftly behind the cameras. Although reality television had long functioned under the pretense of chaos and drama, the Love and Hip Hop brand had a zero-tolerance policy for threats and violence. These boundaries have been violated by Scrappy's outburst, and the authorities quickly came to a judgment. One of the most familiar figures on the show, Scrappy, was forced to leave. Although Swift's decision to fire Scrappy wasn't made right away, it was a painful blow because he had been a part of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. The decision was reached after careful consideration of the potential effects it could have on the show's reputation, as well as the safety of the cast and crew. Since the start, the show had been a vital part of his career, providing him with a platform to showcase his music, life, and complex relationships with his family. However, when the news broke, fans were devastated, with some being incensed at Scrappy for losing his temper and stirring up trouble. For Scrappy, the firing meant more than just the end of a television show. It was a reminder of the cost of his anger and his inability to control it in a moment of passion. In the days that followed, Scrappy remained, despite some people being disappointed by how swiftly the show had taken action, which was a reflection of the F-Line reality star's frequent balancing act between entertainment and personal consequences. While he continued to appear on the show, the tension between him and Scrappy remained in the background. The show would continue without Scrappy, but for the first time in a long time, the spotlight was no longer on him. For Scrappy, the lesson was difficult but necessary. The anger that had once served as a shield now stood as a barrier to his success. Quietly reflecting on his actions, his public persona had always been one of bravado and confidence. But behind the scenes, the reality of what had happened began to sink in. The loss of his place in hip-hop and Love